Hello, Pewter people. Scott Reynolds here with the new Pewter Pulse. The Bucs made a roster move on Thursday afternoon that was a surprise to some. Deven Thompkins, who had been Tampa Bay's primary punt and kick returner over the past two seasons, was waived injured. He cleared waivers and is now back on the team's injured reserve, where he'll rehab that injury until he's healthy enough to be released. But was this move really a surprise? And more importantly, was it a mistake by the team? The answers to those questions are no and no. The move should not come as a surprise, given the NFL's new kick return rule. And moving to part ways with Tomkins shouldn't be viewed as a mistake by the Buccaneers. Let me explain. But first, I'll ask you to hit the thumbs up button and leave a comment on this video. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm and gets our videos in front of more awesome Bucs fans like yourself, and also helps our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel grow. So let's talk about Deven Thompkins. At 5'8", 155 pounds, he was easily the smallest receiver on the team. He's also one of the fastest, but that doesn't mean that he was one of the most elusive. Because of his small frame, Tomkins was rather easy to tackle and often went down on immediate contact. Now, remember that the Buccaneers drafted a smallish running back, Bucky Irving, out of Oregon, but at 5'9", 195 pounds, Irving weighs 40 more pounds than Tomkins weighs, and that extra size helps Irving break tackles and often prevents him from going down on first contact. As a wide receiver, Tomkins did catch 22 passes for 115 yards and a touchdown in his 22 games that he played for Tampa Bay, but he averaged a woeful 5.2 yards per catch. Most of those receptions came on wide receiver screens that went nowhere, because Tomkins is easy to tackle. While Tomkins is fast, his small stature made it difficult for Baker Mayfield, who's just over 6 foot himself, to spot him downfield. So Tomkins was rarely targeted on deep and intermediate throws as a result. Tomkins was successful on some end arounds. He averaged 8.2 yards per carry on 10 end arounds for Tampa Bay, for a total of 82 yards, with a long of 17 yards. But carrying a player on the 53-man roster for an occasional gimmick play just isn't worth it. New Bucs offensive coordinator Liam Cohen told me that the attribute he looks for most in a wide receiver is catch radius, because every throw made by a quarterback is not going to be spot on. And although Tomkins has an incredible vertical leap for such a small receiver, his short arms won't help him catch throws that are just behind him or in front of him, the way that a long-armed receiver like Chris Godwin or Mike Evans can haul those plays in. In fact, Tompkins' short arms made him more likely to fumble the ball. He fumbled 4 times out of the 32 touches on offense in 2 years. That's an average of 1 fumble about every 8 touches, and that's actually quite terrible. When it comes to kick and punt returns, Tomkins wasn't really special either. He averaged a respectable 9.5 yards per punt return with a long of 51, but only averaged 21.1 yards per kick return with a long of 54. The new NFL kickoff return rules will make kick returns more like an offensive play than the traditional kick returns, where defenders would run 40 to 50 yards downfield trying to make a tackle. Now, there will essentially be a line of scrimmage around the 35-yard line of the kick returning team's side of the field, because the kick coverage and kick return units will be lined up about 10 yards apart. This will put an emphasis on finding returners that can break tackles and slip tackles to get through the line of scrimmage and break free the way a running back would. So think of running backs like Irving, or a bigger, tougher receiver in Tampa Bay like Raheem Jarrett, who is 6 foot, 192 pounds, or the 6 foot, 190 pound Trey Palmer. And I wouldn't be surprised if rookie receiver Jalen McMillan, who is 6 foot 192 pounds, also gets a shot to be the team's kick returner. There's also a new receiver in Tampa Bay in the OTAs that has generated a little bit of buzz, and that's undrafted free agent Cameron Johnson out of Barton College. At 5'9", 184 pounds, he's now the smallest receiver in Tampa Bay with Tompkins' departure, but He's an inch taller and 29 pounds heavier than Tomkins was. And like Tomkins, Johnson has experience doing end arounds, punt returns, and kick returns in college. Finding a player who can average 9 yards per punt shouldn't be that difficult for the Bucs. But finding a kick returner that can really excel in the new NFL kickoff return rules will be paramount when it comes to Tampa Bay's starting field position. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that Deven Thompkins was released. And I don't think it was a mistake by the Bucs to do so. What would be a mistake is if you don't subscribe to Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. That's where you can find more Pewter Pulse videos, Bucs OTA and minicamp videos, as well as our Pewter Report podcast and other great Bucs video content. That's Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. Make sure you're following us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report. And visit pewterreport.com for the off-season news that you need from Bucs OTAs and minicamp, and of course, training camp, which is coming up soon. And I'll be back soon with a new Pewter Pulse.